So, Kristen, you just confirm for me that you can see my screen, please? Yes. Sorry, Kristen, just now. And yeah, that's right. Kristen, just a sec. I need to. All right. Yeah, sorry. All right. Never mind, never mind, never mind. Plenty feedback, don't worry. Okay, I saw your message anyway that you can see, right? Just confirm for me that you can hear the video as well.
The doctors had told my parents I want to be able to walk again. My mom went into shock. My dad disappeared for a week. I mean, and I kept thinking, what am I going to do now? After a week in the hospital, they transferred me over to a rehab center. It came by surprise. Steering wheel and I would take my whole head ended up stuck to the windshield, cracked the windshield. Basically, at that time, I was paralyzed from the neck down. After surgery, doctors had told my parents I want to be able to walk again. My mom went into shock. My dad disappeared for a week. I mean, and I kept thinking, what am I going to do now? After a week in the hospital, they transferred me over to a rehab center. It came by surprise that they told me, Jose, you'll be able to walk. You just need therapy. Say it's not going to happen to me. That's what you have in your mind. But one day it did. And it drastically changed my life.
Again, it's all about choices. Every day, choices can have positive and or negative results. Similarly, driving choices can increase or decrease the probability of a collision. Even good drivers make choices that put themselves in potentially dangerous situations. Good choices lead you to become a better driver and to create habits that help you become a defensive driver. By definition, defensive driving is driving to save lives, time, and money in spite of the conditions around you and the actions of others. In a perfect world, driving would be a wonderfully cooperative experience if everyone would pay attention, drive cautiously, and show courtesy toward other drivers. Then we might not need a defensive driving course. But the reality is that we do not live in a perfect world. Some drivers seem determined to make driving more difficult than it should be. In contrast, defensive driving protects us from what is in and around your vehicle. Driving to your destination safely, without a ticket or a collision, and without affecting the safety of other drivers on the road. Practicing common sense, courtesy, and cooperation, and recognizing the risks of hazardous driving behaviors and conditions. When drivers get into a collision or get a ticket, most have enough excuses to write a book. The road was slippery. Everyone else was speeding. The driver slammed on the brakes and made me hit the car ahead. I didn't see the stop sign. The traffic light turned yellow as I was going through the intersection. Sound familiar? You have probably used some of these excuses. On the other hand, a defensive driver does not have to blame the weather, the road, the traffic, or other drivers when something happens. Often, it seems that you have to drive not only for yourself, but for everyone else too. A defensive driver does everything reasonable to avoid a collision or violation. If that means slowing down in bad weather, the defensive driver slows down. If it means letting a problem driver get ahead, the defensive driver lets the problem driver go and does not challenge the action. In learning to become a defensive driver, you also have to look at collisions and violations from the point of view of this crucial question. What reasonable action should I have taken to avoid the collision or violation? Instead of trying to find out who is to blame or coming up with an excuse, you should be asking how the collision or violation could have been prevented. By definition, a preventable collision is a collision in which the driver fails to do everything reasonable to avoid it. The facts show that the majority of collisions are preventable. What's even more important is that those same facts show that violations are the cause of most collisions. It is important to think critically about how you drive and begin making choices that will lead to safer and more defensive driving habits. This course will provide you with new skills and techniques to get you on the right road and keep you headed in the right direction. Your attitude toward other drivers and driving usually indicate what your behavior will be when you are driving. Let's consider this statement. I get irritated when I think other drivers are driving too slowly. In this case, the attitude is reflected in the word irritated. Some drivers might choose to tailgate to get the slower driver to speed up, or just to make him or her nervous. Such an attitude contributes to an unsafe behavior, tailgating, which could result in a rear-end collision. Your attitudes are your collision risk factors. Remember, your risk of being injured or killed in a collision decreases as your defensive driving behaviors increase. The fact is that we all take risks sometimes, and when we do, we temporarily let someone or something else take control of the situation. Before you choose to take a risk and give someone or something else control, you should ask yourself two questions. Is getting what I want or where I'm going so important that I am willing to risk my life or other people's lives? Am I willing to be involved in a collision or get a ticket just to get to work on time, get ahead of someone else, or have some fun? If you answer yes even sometimes to these questions, you also have to accept the responsibility and results of risk-taking behavior. The National Safety Council has developed a three-step process to help drivers see hazards before they become dangerous situations. It is called the DDC Collision Prevention Formula. The formula is designed around the goal of being a defensive driver each and every time you get behind the wheel. Throughout this course, we will refer to the three-step DDC Collision Prevention Formula, an easy way to help you be a defensive driver. The letters R, U, and A will help you remember the formula. R stands for Recognize the hazard that can cause a collision. U stands for Understand the defense to avoid the hazard. And A stands for Act correctly in time to arrive at your destination safely. Step 2 in avoiding collisions is to understand the defenses available to you. Recognizing hazards is important, but you also need to understand exactly what to do to avoid collisions and know the consequences of your choices. Step 3 in avoiding collisions is to act correctly in time. Time is crucial in avoiding collisions. If recognizing the hazard is important, understanding what to do and doing it in time to avoid a collision are just as This course will discuss and analyze the DDC Collision Prevention Formula until it becomes a habit for you. The what-if strategy is one way to focus your attention on driving so that you can recognize a hazard and understand the defense against it. Let's see how it works. When you are driving, look around at all the other vehicles. Pick one and think about what that driver might do that could cause you a problem. What if that driver were to pull out in front of you? What would you do? If you do this block by block, mile by mile, this strategy will keep you mentally alert and will also prepare you for the third step of the DDC collision prevention formula, acting correctly in time.
Let's practice this strategy by looking at a number of scenarios. As you watch each scenario, pay attention to the road and think about what could happen in each situation that could cause a collision. In this scenario, you are at a busy intersection in town. A pedestrian with a baby stroller is waiting to. She is talking on a cellular phone. You see a bicyclist on another corner, also waiting to cross. The car in front of you speeds up to get through the light. You can hear an emergency vehicle, but you don't know where it is. Take a moment to think about what could happen in this situation. Bicyclist fell or crossed into traffic. In this scenario, you are traveling on a multi-lane highway at the posted speed limit of 60 miles per hour. The vehicle in front of you is traveling at 45 miles per hour and appears to be weaving. You want to get into the next lane. Take a moment to think about what could happen in this situation. Did you ask yourself these what-ifs? What would you do if the vehicle ahead stopped suddenly? The vehicle sped up while you were passing. The vehicle veered into the left lane while you were passing. Were you able to identify the things that could have gone wrong in these scenarios? Using a similar what-if strategy when you are on the road will help you stay alert and be better able to recognize the hazards, understand the defenses against them, and be prepared to act correctly in time.
Session 2, Ready for the Road. In this session, you will learn how to list the factors you can control before you start to drive, including your own physical and emotional or mental conditions, as well as vehicle maintenance. Describe the varying physical, emotional, and mental conditions of other drivers on the road. Explain how to be alert and defensive when sharing the road with these drivers. And explain how to drive defensively in conditions beyond your control, such as light, weather, road conditions, and traffic mix. Several factors make up your driving environment. You, the driver, your vehicle, everyday driving conditions, and situations that you and other drivers face. Your best defense when encountering conditions within and beyond your control is to recognize the hazards, understand the defenses, and act correctly in time. Physical conditions you and other drivers may experience while driving include mobility, hearing, vision, illness or medication use, fatigue or drowsiness, and age. Each of these conditions can become hazards that contribute to collisions. Consider this fact: vision is 90% of our sensory input. Drivers with vision limitations may experience reduced ability to see at night or dusk, near or far-sightedness, night blindness, and reduced depth perception. Defensive driving techniques for drivers with diminished vision include: do not wear tinted glasses or sunglasses for night driving. Turn your head completely to check blind spots and recheck before making a move. Wear your glasses or corrective lenses at all times. Do not look directly at bright lights, they temporarily blind you. And keep your windows and windshield clean, inside and out. Drivers with conditions due to illness and medication may experience slower response time, inattention, and drowsiness. Defensive driving techniques for drivers with diminished abilities due to illness and medication include: do not drive long distances. Do not drive while under the influence of alcohol or other drugs or medications. Use the what-if hazard recognition strategy to stay alert. Check the label on your medications. When the label specifies possible adverse effects, reconsider driving. And take a taxi or have someone else drive. Fatigue and drowsiness can be caused not only by lack of sleep, but also by driving in heavy traffic, on monotonous roads or highways, in bad weather, for too long a stretch, or in a vehicle that is too warm. Defensive driving techniques for drivers with diminished abilities due to fatigue and drowsiness include: take rest breaks. Techniques for young drivers include: do not drive faster than experience or conditions warrant, and do not let other people in the vehicle distract you from driving attentively. Defensive driving techniques for mature drivers include: use experience as a guide to handle traffic situations, avoid driving at night or when traffic is heavy, and adjust speed to your physical conditions. It is important to recognize your own physical conditions and to understand that you will encounter various combinations of these conditions with other drivers on the road. In addition to physical conditions, you need to be aware of your emotions or mental conditions that may affect your driving ability. Some driving situations, such as heavy traffic and tailgating, can be stressful and make you angry. Giving into these emotions can make you aggressive or cause you to tense up. Stress is a mental condition that is dangerous to everyone's driving safety, your own safety, and the safety of others around you. It comes from letting other matters, such as deadlines, take priority over your driving. It's one thing to know the importance of remaining in control emotionally in driving situations. However, doing the right thing when you suddenly find yourself in those situations is much more difficult. You need a plan for gaining control when your emotions are affecting your driving. Anger is another mental condition you may react to on the road. It grows out of some other emotion, such as disappointment, suspicion, or pride. Once you identify that main emotion, you can work to control your anger. What can you do to control anger behind the wheel? Avoid aggravating the situation. You can't predict what another driver may do. Let that hostile driver go by and get ahead so that you can control the situation. Some common vehicle problems that can contribute to a collision include headlights or taillights out, directional signals not working, worn wiper blades, worn tires, improper tire inflation, poor condition or failure of brakes, and no washer fluid. Keeping your vehicle in top form will help you maintain control in all types of driving conditions. As a way to prevent many vehicle-related hazards, every day before getting into your vehicle for the first time, do a pre-trip outside vehicle check. Does the equipment on your car function properly? Check often to make sure the wipers, lights, and other equipment work properly. Keeping your car in good condition helps keep you safe. To be seen in the day and at night, make sure all of your car's lights work properly. This includes your tail lights, turn signals, brake lights, backup lights, headlights, and parking lights.
Make sure that the tires on the vehicle are the size recommended in your vehicle's owner's manual. That's because the speedometer, ABS, traction control, and other systems are all calibrated to work with that tire size. Look for the manufacturer's recommended tire pressure for your car.
While you are conducting your outside vehicle check, it is also a good idea to check under your car or on your garage floor for any signs of fluid leakage. Does the equipment inside your car function properly? Every time you get into your vehicle, make a pre-trip interior check.
When you get into your car, fasten your safety belt and make sure your passengers do too.
In addition to safety belts and gauges, it is also important to close and lock all doors, adjust the seat if necessary, adjust the head restraint as directed in your vehicle owner's manual, adjust the mirrors, test the horn, adjust the window, vents, and heater or air conditioner controls for comfort, and make sure you are physically and emotionally ready to drive. Properly adjusted mirrors are key for scanning. Most vehicles have 3 rear view mirrors. One is a center interior mirror. The other 2 are exterior mirrors on each side of the vehicle. Blind spots are a major factor that can contribute to lane change merge collisions. Traditional mirror adjustment guidelines create large blind spots beside and behind your vehicle. These blind spots can block the entirety of other vehicles from view. To reduce the size of your blind spots, change the setting of your 2 exterior mirrors. You will still have blind spots, but none of them will be large enough to block the entirety of another vehicle from view. Here's the new mirror adjustment strategy in action. Adjust the interior mirror to see immediately behind your vehicle and as far down the road behind as possible. To adjust the left outside mirror, sit behind the steering wheel and lean to your left until your head touches the side window. Then, adjust the mirror until the side of the vehicle disappears. To adjust the right outside mirror, sit behind the steering wheel and lean as far to the right as you did to the left. Then, adjust the right side mirror until the side of the vehicle disappears. Once you have made these mirror adjustments, use the lean and look method as you drive. Leaning forward and looking into the side mirrors allows you to see far more of the areas beside and behind your vehicle than just glancing into the mirror. As vehicles approach from behind, you will see them in the interior rearview mirror. As vehicles move alongside and drift out of the interior mirror, they will be visible in the exterior side mirror. As vehicles leave the side mirror, they will be in your peripheral vision. The reverse applies in passing other vehicles on an expressway. As you pass them, they drift out of your side vision and will be visible in the side mirror. As you gain more distance, they will become visible in the interior mirror. These new mirror settings, combined with the lean and look method, have these advantages. Requires only a brief glance at an exterior mirror to view the blind spot. Keeps the area ahead of your vehicle in your peripheral view. And reduces nighttime exterior mirror glare. Your interior mirror gives your primary view of the traffic behind you. However, if you must drive with a blind spot a vehicle or object in the mirror, it may be closer than it appears. You should turn your head and take a quick glance to see exactly where it is. Just like every other defensive driving habit, maintaining a schedule for regular vehicle checkups is a habit that will pay off. Check these items under the hood at regular times.
Components of the engine. That is why it is important to check your engine's oil level every time you fill your tank. Check the owner's manual to determine if you should look at the engine oil when the engine is warm or cool, and to ensure that you are using the correct grade and viscosity. To check your engine oil, make sure the engine is off. Remove the dipstick, wipe it off, reinsert the dipstick, and remove it again. Check the level of the engine oil and compare it to the indicators on the stick. When adding oil, make sure it is of the same grade and viscosity. Not all oils mix well together. Most manufacturers recommend changing your oil every 3,000 miles or 3 months. However, you should always check the owner's manual to see if there is a change due to changes in season, climate, or temperature. Oftentimes, these things may require a different grade of oil for your vehicle. Checking the engine's coolant level is equally as important. If the engine coolant level is low, the engine may overheat. Do not open the radiator cap of a warm engine. Instead, look at the markings on the overflow tank. If the level is below the minimum, add a 50-50 mix of antifreeze and water. The condition and level of your transmission fluid is very important. Fluid that is too high or too low could cause damage to your transmission. The level should be between the two lines on the dipstick. Take a look at the battery terminals. If you see corrosive buildup, cracks, or other damage, replace it. While under the hood with the engine off and cool, you can inspect belts and hoses. To inspect the hoses, look along the ends of the hoses for leakage. Look along the edges of the hoses for bubbling or bruising. When inspecting your belts, look for shininess on the back side of the belt or fraying on the underside of the belt.
One of the personal choices you can make as a driver is to protect yourself and your passengers every time you get behind the wheel. The laws of physics do not know who you or your family are. If you break these laws, you and your family are not excused from the consequences. Why are occupant protection systems so important? One way to understand their value is to look at the dynamics of a collision. Every motor vehicle collision actually includes 3 crashes. Stage 1, the vehicle crash, when the vehicle strikes an object. Stage 2, the human crash, when occupants hit the vehicle interior. And Stage 3, the internal crash, when internal organs hit other organs or the skeletal system. Let's take a closer look at these stages.
There's 3 collisions that are involved in a motor vehicle crash. The first one is that of the car. When the car comes traveling at a speed and comes to a sudden stop, that's the car hitting something.
And then there's the people inside the vehicle that bounce around kind of like pinballs, and that's the second collision.
At the moment of impact, safety belts absorb the force of the crash of belted occupants. But unbelted occupants remain traveling at the vehicle's original speed.
A lot of people hit the ceiling of the car, the roof of the car. A lot of times they hit the dashboard. We see some really severe chest injuries, but the head injuries really are the worst. Those are the ones that are hardest to do something about.
If you're unbelted, you have a greater risk of being ejected from the automobile. If you are ejected from the vehicle, your risk of injury and death increases about 25%.
People can move through the air at 100 miles an hour and hit the concrete, hit trees, hit buildings, hit other cars. People that are thrown free of the vehicle never wake up. I mean, those are the people that never come in after a collision because they're just dead. They're just plain dead.
The seatbelt keeps you in the car. In the event of a crash, the main thing it does is it keeps you within the body of the vehicle.
When people are belted, you see a different kind of injury pattern. I mean, there are injuries that we can fix. There are things we can do things about.
The third collision is actually inside the body itself. Your heart, your lungs, your liver, your spleen, your brain continuing to travel at 60 miles an hour, and it slams up against the interior components of your body. And that's where you can sustain the internal damage that frequently results in the injuries and death that we see.
The seatbelt is the difference between coming into the emergency room from a collision and walking out an hour later, or staying in the hospital for months, and so it's frustrating because they don't have to be hurt that badly.
We have just discussed the 3 stages of a collision. Before we move on to discuss the devices that are instrumental to protecting us in a collision, let's take a look at one collision that is all too familiar to many of us, its causes, and what could have been done to save precious lives.
This just in. Diana, Princess of Wales, was killed in a tragic collision. Sources say she was not wearing a safety belt.
The investigators at EAI wanted to know the answer to a very important question.
When we started to look at Diana's auto crash to try to get a feeling for what difference the seatbelt would have made, we first go to the crash site and set the stage. So we sent an engineer there to take measurements, and what you're doing is you're translating the scene into the important mathematics that drive the physics behind the crash. Now, in the computer, at first that's just numbers. But one of the things that's good about an animation like this is it translates those numbers into physical effects that everybody can visualize. They're driving down this highway at a rate of speed that's faster than they should be going. We figured they enter the tunnel at about 70 miles an hour.
The driver, Henri Paul, tried to swerve and missed the Fiat Uno. He actually strikes the left rear corner of the Uno, leaves glass from the Mercedes turn signal, as well as the Fiat Uno turn signal on the left rear. Then here you can see he overcorrects to the right side lane again, sees the Citroen and swerves to the left, this time losing control.
And when they lose control, the thing that they strike is a pillar that holds up the tunnel. The force of the collision is delivered in that instant when they strike the pillar. And you can see what happens to Diana when she strikes that seat. You can imagine yourself sitting in the seat, slamming into the back, and feeling inside your internal organs just rip away from one another.
When her ribcage struck the seat in front of her, her heart continued to move inside for a brief instant, and that tore her pulmonary vein away from between her heart and her lungs, and she did in fact bleed to death from that.
When you're in a collision, you're not a person, you're an object. You can't act, your will has nothing to do with it, the speed of your reactions, your strength, you're just a blob of mass that's being moved by forces that are operating at a scale you can't even begin to address. That's one of the ironic things about this whole crash. Here you've got this princess, right? The world focuses on this princess. She's wealthy beyond compare. They got a whole staff of people, their whole job, keep this princess safe. We have to have the driver who's trained to avoid terrorists and bombs, and we have to be able to keep her safe if she's in a public crowd. And the simplest possible restraint device that everybody has access to. Every vehicle is equipped with it. The one thing that would have made a difference in this case, they neglect to make sure that she's wearing her seatbelt. The thing that I would like to come out of the animation that we've done is you get a chance to see a beloved world figure whose loss everyone understands, lose their life in a very graphic way in a few seconds. You can watch it happen, and then you can do exactly what everybody would do. Think about if it was your child that you're watching or some loved one of yours, the very moment that you came to the crash scene, saw them bleeding on the pavement, you would beg for the opportunity to turn the clock back. When they got in the vehicle and do what we can do in the computer and buckle the seatbelt, that's the message you got to take away when you see this animation, is that you don't get that opportunity to do it. We've shown you, do the right thing, make some sense, buckle your seatbelt every time you occupy a vehicle, and feel like an idiot if you ever find yourself making that mistake.
Click and fix the mirrors and I'm gone.
I won't even budge unless all of my passengers, front and back seat, have their belts.
Most vehicles are equipped with several occupant protection systems. Safety belts, airbags, head restraints, door locks, and energy-absorbing bumper are examples. All play a role in keeping you and your passengers safe. Now let's talk about the importance of safety belts and airbags. Safety belts are lifesavers. They protect you by absorbing the force of a collision. They help you stay in control of your vehicle by keeping you in your seat, and they increase your chance of surviving a collision by about 50%. A properly fastened safety belt is your best protection during a collision. As a vehicle rapidly slows down, it distributes the force over the stronger and larger parts of your body. This includes your chest, hips, and shoulders. The safety belt stretches slightly to slow your body down. So why should you wear your safety belt?
Cars are designed to keep the passenger compartment intact. So they're a tough box, sort of a tough protection shell around you. Vehicles roll over in less than 3% of all crashes, but these crashes account for more than a third of passenger vehicle occupant deaths. Rollovers are more common in SUVs and pickups.
It's very, very frustrating to pull up on the scene of an accident and see that safety zone, which is the passenger compartment of any vehicle, basically intact, even if the car is rolled multiple times. And then we have a person lying dead, 30, 40, 50, or 100 feet away from the car. If they just would have stayed inside that zone, they'd still be here.
Seatbelts, you guys.
When you get in the car and you fasten your safety belt, you should make sure that every individual that's in that car does the same thing. Because if you don't, that person who chooses not to put their seatbelt becomes a missile within the car.
So we had a case where somebody was restrained in the back seat and the front seat passenger wasn't, and as they were ejected through the rear window, they kind of had this atomic headbutt and killed the person behind them. I mean, that's like a 180-pound cannonball.
While it is always important to wear your safety belt, most vehicles now offer the added protection of airbags. Airbags are supplemental restraint systems. Safety belts and airbags together offer the best protection in a collision.
The airbag system is designed to be used with a seatbelt. Those airbags deploy with tremendous speed and force. They're designed to be used in conjunction, where the seatbelt keeps you in place, keeps your chest, your torso, and your head in place. The airbags deploy to try to decrease any further damage that may occur.
Airbags do save lives and reduce injuries, but they can pose risks. An airbag comes out of the steering wheel or dashboard faster than a blink of an eye and at great force. Airbags have contributed to some collision fatalities that resulted from lack of child restraint and safety belt use, incorrect safety belt use, and sitting too close to the steering wheel or dashboard. Adults should move their seat back. In vehicles equipped with airbags, you and your passengers should move your seats back. You need to move your seat back to a position that allows you to see and properly operate your vehicle. There should be 12 to 15 inches of space between your chest and the center of the steering wheel, and adjust the steering wheel so that the airbag is aimed at your chest, not your face. Driving too fast for weather conditions, turning too fast, or stopping suddenly on slippery roads may cause your vehicle to skid. The best defense to avoid skidding is always slowing down when weather conditions are poor. If your vehicle begins to skid, your best defense depends on the type of brakes your vehicle is equipped with. If you are unsure, check the owner's manual to determine what type of brakes your vehicle has. To steer out of a skid in a vehicle equipped with regular brakes: 1. Ease your foot off the accelerator. 2. Keep your foot off the brake. 3. Turn the steering wheel in the direction you want the front of the vehicle to go. And 4. When you have gained control of the vehicle, slowly squeeze the brake pedal, being cautious not to lock the wheels. To steer out of a skid in a vehicle equipped with an anti-lock brake system, or ABS: 1. Take your foot off the accelerator. 2. Put your foot firmly on the brake. And 3. Turn the steering wheel in the direction you want the front of the vehicle to go. Many drivers find it easier to visualize turning in the direction they want the front of the vehicle to go than to figure out which way they are skidding. Depending on the loss of traction, you may have to repeat the steering out of a skid procedure a few times. Remember, the best defense in poor conditions is to slow down and increase following distance. Sharing the road safely with larger vehicles requires recognizing the differences between your vehicles, showing courtesy, and helping other drivers see you. When driving near larger vehicles, you must consider that they have bigger blind spots, called their no zone, require more space to make turns, and take longer to stop. In fact, 1/3 of all collisions between larger trucks and other vehicles occur in the larger truck's blind spots.
A lot of people don't really understand what it takes to see around a truck. They don't realize where the blind spots are.
Trucks have huge blind spots on their sides and to the rear.
Car drivers need to respect the area around a truck to stay out of its blind spots, to give enough distance behind the truck. In order for a four-wheel vehicle to drive safely around the truck, they have to be aware of the no zone. They have to have respect for the distance around the truck.
If you can't see the driver's face in the truck's outside mirrors, the driver can't see you. If the truck driver decides to change lanes, you'll be right in his path. A trucker is only aware of a car behind by the shadow the car might cast. Don't linger in a truck's blind spots. You might get rear-ended by a truck if you pass and then immediately slow down. You must also make it easy for other people to see you. Make sure that your lights are working and clean and use them. In fact, headlights are the most important tool you have for ensuring that other drivers see you. Use them not only at nighttime, but at dusk, long before you need them to see. Use them during the day when it's rainy, snowy, or foggy.
That is why when passing a larger truck vehicle, you need to make sure you can see a lot of pavement in front of the larger vehicle before you pull back in front of it. Alcohol is primarily a central nervous system depressant. It acts on just about every neurotransmitter system in your brain and impairs brain function, decreasing the ability to respond to stimuli, make motor responses, and make decisions. Despite BAC limits, alcohol can have varying effects under varying circumstances.
New research is giving us a much clearer picture of alcohol impairment.
In our studies, we gave doses of alcohol that were much lower than the legal driving limit of 0.08. We gave people doses of alcohol of 0.04 and 0.06, and we saw significant effects upon brain activity.
A lot of the subjects that would report, hey, I'm fine, hey, I don't really subjectively think that there's anything wrong with me, they get them in this machine, and the machine is actually showing that even though you may feel fine, your body is reacting to the alcohol, and you are slowing down how fast you can find things, and you are not finding them as accurately as you think that you are.
Even at levels as low as 0.04 or 0.05, which would be for most people probably 2 or 3 drinks, we do see impairments. We've looked at eye movements, and we see that they are slower, and reaction time can be slower.
One of the things that was very surprising to me was how impaired people can be, even at a dose of alcohol where they report feeling no effect.
Studies that we're conducting here, we compare heavy drinkers to light social drinkers, and we find that the heavy drinkers really perceive that they are less impaired.
Even though the heavier drinkers don't feel as intoxicated, they experience just as much impairment in their performance. And so this is a really dangerous combination.
They're thinking it's a perfectly good decision to go out and drive, but it's really not a good decision for them. That, you know, they account for over 50-60% of fatal car crashes due to alcohol.
The one thing I would want to get across to people, whether they're comfortable with hearing it or not, is that there's no safe amount of alcohol when it comes to driving.
Even if you don't drink and never drink and drive, you share in the losses caused by others who do. Take responsibility for yourself. If you are drinking, do not drive. Take responsibility for those you care about by taking the keys from an impaired driver. Don't let family or friends drink and drive. National Safety Council researchers estimate that about 1 in 4 of all crashes involve talking or texting on cell phones while driving. It's estimated that 1.1 million crashes involve talking on handheld or hands-free devices, and a minimum of 160,000 crashes involve texting. We actually believe that cell phone usage while driving is involved in far more accidents than even texting, because millions more people are using their cell phones while they're driving. When you use your cell phone when you drive, you are at a 4 times greater risk of a crash. Some distractions may cause you to take your eyes off the road, your mind off driving, and your hands off the wheel. But if your focus is off the road, you put everyone around you in danger. The road conditions can change very quickly. When you look off the road for just 2 out of any 6 seconds of time, you are 2 times more likely to have a collision than an alert driver. The dictionary defines distracted as having your attention divided and being rendered incapable of behaving or reacting in a normal manner.
Here in the largest simulation facility in the world, advanced technology captures realistic driver data.
One of the things that we study in driving simulators is where drivers are looking. How much time are they spending looking on the road versus off of the road? 2 cameras, our machine vision systems, look at the driver's face, and the computer then can recognize facial features. The computer is able to differentiate those targets, understand where the eyes are, and then track where the driver is looking themselves. So the computer recreates this person in a virtual sense. When we drive normally, we're constantly looking about the scene, scanning the environment. But when you're involved in a conversation, what we see is your vision sort of shrinks down. And because you're scanning less, you're really less aware of the kinds of threats and hazards that are occurring on the road.
Up to half of the stuff that you normally would have noticed, pedestrians, stoplights, vehicles pulling out in front of you, you simply don't see. It doesn't register. It's not like listening to the radio. It's not like listening to a book on tape. It's not like carrying on a conversation with somebody who's in the vehicle. It's as if you're engaged in this conversation with somebody where the physical presence that you're in is not relevant.
How often do you reach for an object in the front or back seat, turn around in your seat, or check your hair or put makeup on in the mirror? These physical actions take your hands off the wheel and your mind and eyes off the road, detracting from your ability to maneuver your vehicle. Doing other tasks while driving may seem like a good use of time, but at what cost? Combining visual, mental, and physical distractions can be deadly. Think back to the scenario in which you took your eyes off the road for mere seconds to locate your phone and read the incoming text message. The results were catastrophic. What if you had tried to answer that text? I think texting is really by far the most potentially demanding activity that you can do because it involves a cognitive, visual, and manual component. So you have to type a message while you're doing the interaction with the phone. So you're taking both your mind and your eyes off of the roadway. You have probably driven while tired. You may have even nodded off for a few seconds, which is known as a microsleep. Drowsy driving is another physical condition that can have catastrophic consequences. Let's see why microsleeps are so dangerous.
The reason you don't want to fight sleep behind the wheel is because you will lose. Fighting sleepiness means you're sleepy. It means you're impaired. It means that any second your brain can take one of those 2-second naps. Those 2 seconds maybe when the road turns to the right and you drive off the highway.
Drivers who are moderately drowsy, we tend to observe them touching their face a lot, touching their hair, moving in their seat a great deal, yawning. Drivers who have kind of moved past moderate drowsiness into more severe drowsiness, the muscles in the face become very slack. They start to have microsleeps. They start to head bob and start to have mini eyelid closures.
Sustaining wakefulness becomes quite unstable, and you may drift in and out of sleep. And you have a phenomenon called a microsleep, where you will just suddenly go to sleep for 10 or 15 seconds.
Everybody has been driving down the highway and said, what happened to exit 14? What happened the last 3 minutes? You need very small little microsleeps a second at 70 miles an hour on a highway. You're off the road.
So very sleep-deprived people can very quickly go into sleep. And so these microsleeps can really intrude pretty rapidly. Sleep duration in America has declined over the last 20 years. And we now have about 35% of the population reporting they sleep less than 6 hours a night. And we know that 6 hours a night for the majority of people is not enough sleep. So we are a chronically sleep-deprived society.
The single most important thing that happens when you don't get enough sleep is your body drives to get its sleep. Just like when you don't breathe, you struggle to get air.
The longer you're awake, the bigger the drive for sleep becomes. And we as humans are programmed to be able to sustain wakefulness for about 16 hours.
Hormone levels and sleep. They occur over a 24-hour period and are driven by our internal 24-hour rhythms. The sleep-wake cycle equates to about 8 hours of nocturnal sleep and 16 hours of daytime wakefulness. Staying awake for 22 of the prior 24 hours interrupts your circadian rhythms and impairs cognitive performance.
There's really 2 times in the day when sleep drive is high. The first is in siesta time in the early afternoon, where in Spanish cultures, people nap. We don't do that in America, we just push through that. And then the other time is obviously at night when we sleep. And if you look at the rhythm of fall asleep crashes, most of these crashes were at night time, because that's when you're really, really sleepy.
There's this interaction between, how many hours you've slept and what time of day it is. So if tonight you're not going to get enough sleep, you're going to be most impaired 2 to 4 in the afternoon.
Signs you are not getting enough sleep include that you can't focus or keep your eyes open, have trouble keeping your head up, can't stop yawning, have wandered, confused thoughts, don't remember the last few miles you have driven, drift out of the lane or hit a rumble strip, keep jerking your vehicle back into the lane, speed up or slow down often, and miss an exit. Reduce your risks when driving while fatigued. Get enough sleep. Eat light before driving. Make frequent stops. Never drink alcohol and drive. Never drive while taking medications that cause sleepiness. Get off the road. Take a short nap in a safe place. And avoid driving during your normal sleep cycle. Use extra caution on long trips. Begin early in the day. Share driving with a companion. Stop every 100 miles or 2 hours. And get out and walk. Exercise and fresh air help fight fatigue. According to the National Safety Council's annual publication, Injury Facts, these are the most common improper driving behaviors reported in collisions: improper speed, violating right-of-way, driving left of center, turning improperly, passing or overtaking improperly, and following too closely. All of these unsafe driving behaviors are a result of drivers making bad choices or using poor judgment. Of all collisions reported, a large percentage is a result of someone choosing one of these unsafe behaviors. Once we know how to make better driving, the number one most unsafe driving behavior that contributes to collisions and violations is improper speed. Speeding was a factor in 32% of all collision deaths in a recent year. On average, over 10,000 collision deaths a year involve speeding. Speeding includes driving too fast for conditions, as well as driving in excess of a posted speed limit. You may have many excuses for speeding, including, "I was late for work," "It's safer to keep up with the flow of traffic," "I didn't know the speed limit," "Everyone else was speeding," "It's a habit," "I do it all the time and nothing happens," "I'm a good driver," or "It's fun to drive fast." In certain conditions, the legal and posted speed limit may still be slow-moving vehicles ahead, animals, people, or bicyclists on the roadway or alongside the road, and road condition. Here are some defensive driving tips to help avoid improper speed on the roads. Allow enough time to reach your destination. Don't rush. If you are running late, pull over to a safe area and call ahead. Know the speed limit. Keep checking the speedometer. And reduce speed in work zones and school zones. Be cautious and alert. Here are some realistic choices for driving within the speed limit. Drive in the far right lane or in the lane where other vehicles are traveling at the same speed or within the speed limit. And if a vehicle is tailgating you, slow down to encourage the vehicle to pass. Do not speed up. Driving within the speed limit is critical to your safety. However, there is a flip side to every rule or good idea in life. In this case, it is driving too slowly. If you approach a driver who is driving too slowly, the driver may be drug impaired, overly cautious, unfamiliar with the vehicle, unsure where he or she is going, focused on something else, experiencing a vehicle problem, for example, a flat tire or a breakdown, visually impaired, distracted by something in the vehicle, or using a cellular communication device and/or texting. In all of these situations, the slow driver may do something unpredictable. For example, swerve left or right, or drive into another lane without signaling. So you, as a defensive driver, must take reasonable actions to avoid a collision. In the case of someone driving too slowly, the DDC collision prevention formula comes into play. You have to recognize the hazard, understand the defense, and act correctly in time. Some reasonable actions you can take as a responsible driver to avoid a collision when someone is driving too slowly include: do not tailgate. Give the driver ahead plenty of room. If possible, stay behind and wait for the driver to turn off the road or exit the highway. Signal left and get around the vehicle, but only if it is safe and legal to do so. And if you suspect that a driver is drug impaired, keep away from the vehicle and, if possible, report the driver to the authorities. Intersection collisions are usually a result of right-of-way violations. Right-of-way violations include failure to yield, disregarding a traffic signal, running or rolling through a stop sign, and improper merging. Think about how many intersections you cross every day. Statistically speaking, your chances of a collision are highest at an intersection. In fact, more than half of all collisions occur at intersections. What reasons do you think are given when there is an intersection collision or violation? I had the right of way. I didn't see the stop sign. The traffic light was yellow, not red. The sign didn't say no turn on red. No one was coming. I didn't think the police were around. Or, I was driving in the country. No one is usually out there. Points to be aware of when driving in areas with pedestrian traffic. Give pedestrians a human dimension. You can't predict what they will do. Slow down. Yield the right of way to pedestrians in crosswalks. Never wave pedestrians across the street. In heavy traffic areas, other drivers might not see you waving the pedestrians across and could hit them. And watch for children in residential areas, school zones, and playgrounds, especially on school days, holidays, or during the summer. To prevent collisions and violations at intersections that have traffic signals, use the delayed acceleration technique. This technique helps to ensure the intersection is clear before you enter it. Use this technique whether you are the first vehicle at the intersection or behind other vehicles. Let's watch a demonstration of the delayed acceleration technique. When you are stopped at a traffic signal, you will be in one of two situations. There will be other cars in front of you, or you will be the first car. If you are the first vehicle stopped at a traffic signal when the light turns green, before you accelerate, you should scan the intersection, look left, look right, look straight ahead, scan back left again. Keep your foot on the brake as you scan. If you don't, the driver behind you may think you are going to move and hit you. Proceed through the intersection only when it is safe and clear to do so. This technique will delay your acceleration by 2 seconds and will help ensure that the intersection is clear before you enter it. When approaching an intersection, cover the brake with your right foot and scan left, right, ahead, and left again. Proceed through the intersection only if it is safe to do so. Remember to also scan ahead and behind at intersections without traffic signs or signals or with a yield sign. Cover the brake until you can see the intersection is clear of traffic. One of the deadliest unsafe driving behaviors is driving left of center. Driving left of center means crossing the center line of the roadway. Vehicles cross the center line for many reasons, but this driver error has a potentially fatal outcome, a head-on collision. First, let's discuss what the different lines mean. White lines separate lanes of traffic moving in the same direction. If it's broken, you can cross it. If it's solid, you should not cross it unless you are faced with a hazard. Common causes of driving left of center or crossing the driving too fast for conditions, resulting in loss of control, fatigue or drowsiness, tire blowouts, pedestrians, cyclists, or animals, worn or ice or snow-covered center line, improper turning. To make safe and proper turns, you should 1. Know where you are going. 2. Get into the correct turn lane in advance. 3. Signal your intention to turn. And 4. Turn into the proper lane. Some drivers choose risky behaviors when passing or overtaking another vehicle. Examples include passing at high speeds, passing in no passing zones, cutting off other drivers, weaving in and out of traffic, and not having enough time or space to complete a pass. The first major step is deciding whether the pass you want to make is really necessary. If it is, even before starting to pass, consider the following. Are you at least 3 seconds behind the vehicle in front of you? Step 1. Maintain proper following distance. Look ahead to check whether there is enough time and distance to pass. Look behind to be sure no one is attempting to pass you. Signal your intention to change lanes. And check your blind spots. Step 2. Move left completely into the lane being used to pass. Move into your original lane when you can see pavement in front of the vehicle you are passing in your inside rear view mirror. Leave even more distance behind you when passing larger vehicles. Once back in your original lane, cancel the turn signal. And maintain the proper speed. A head-on collision is the most fatal type of traffic collision. What do you do if another vehicle is heading straight toward you? You have only a few seconds to make a decision and get out of the way quickly. The National Safety Council has developed a life-saving method for drivers to use to avoid a head-on collision. It is called the 4 R's. Step 1. Read the road. Step 2. Drive to the right. Step 3. Reduce speed. Step 4. Ride off the road. Let's watch a demonstration of the 4 R's. The first R is read the road ahead. Be prepared. Look on both sides of the road for things like potholes, pedestrians, or bicyclists. Look ahead to the next hill or curve for drivers that may enter your lane. Check out the next intersection. Anticipate a potential head-on before it occurs. Next, drive to the right. If you see an oncoming vehicle nearing the center line, drive slightly to the right of your lane. The closer the other car comes to your vehicle, the further you must move to your right. On a 4-lane highway, the safest lane is generally the lane to the right. Next, reduce your speed. By reducing speed, you lower the energy of the car and therefore increase your control. If a vehicle is coming toward you, do whatever you can to warn the oncoming driver. If the car keeps coming, be prepared to ride off the road. Drive, don't skid off the road. Don't lock your brakes. Look where you want to go and follow the path of least resistance. When you need to ride back onto the road, ease off the gas, stay straight, and gradually guide the car back onto the hard surface. Drive, don't swerve off the road. Never stop your vehicle. If you stop completely, you may get hit by the driver behind you. Then you have the potential of being pushed forward into the oncoming driver, resulting in a rear end and a head-on collision. Reduce your speed gradually. Do not slam on the brakes. If you do, you may lose control of your vehicle and start to skid. If you have to hit an object that is in your path, choose a soft object, such as a shrub or bush. Avoid hard objects like trees or concrete barriers. If you cannot avoid hitting an object, avoid striking it head-on. Instead, hit it at an angle or with a glancing blow. Remember, the force of impact is greater in a head-on collision. Sometimes, when a head-on collision is going to happen, you do not have time for all 4 R's that we have just discussed. You may still be able to take some actions to help avoid a head-on collision, or at least reduce the chance of injury. Don't panic. Just use your head to make some split-second decisions. Can you make the right decision and do it quickly? We hope that you never encounter a split-second head-on situation, but if you do, now you know how to survive. Following too closely can result in rear-end collisions. The reality of the situation is that physics plays an important part in how fast your vehicle stops, and driver conditions influence how fast you can respond. Following too closely is aggressive driving, and it is a ticketable offense. What excuses might you give for following too closely? I want the drivers ahead to get out of my way. I'm in control. I can stop fast enough. My response time is good. The driver ahead cut me off. I always drive this way, and I'm fine. Or, there aren't any rules about how to follow. Let's learn more about why your excuses aren't valid. There are 3 factors that influence how long it takes your vehicle to stop: perception distance, reaction distance, and braking distance. Perception distance is the distance your vehicle travels from the moment the event occurs, such as the brake lights ahead come on, until you see it and become aware of the danger. Highway engineers have designed our roadways using 1.75 seconds as an average perception time. This time is based on a focused driver who is not distracted. Using a cell phone, looking in the mirror, or talking with a passenger are all distractions that would make the perception time longer. Reaction distance is the distance the vehicle travels while you are moving your foot from the accelerator to the brake pedal. Reaction distance depends on your reaction time. A driver in good mental and physical condition has an average reaction time of 0.75, 3/4 of a second. Braking distance is the distance your vehicle travels from the time you apply the brake until your vehicle stops. Anti-lock brakes do not reduce braking distance. In fact, a vehicle equipped with anti-lock brakes may require a longer distance to stop. Anti-lock brakes are designed to prevent wheels from locking in a hard braking or emergency braking situation, and help maintain control and keep a vehicle moving in a straight line rather than skidding or spinning, as with non-ABS brakes. Collisions have occurred as a result of improper use of anti-lock brakes. In an emergency braking situation, press the anti-lock brakes very firmly. You may feel the pumping action of the brakes. The pulsating of the brake, together with a slight ticking or popping noise, is normal. Do not pump anti-lock brakes. They are designed to do the pumping for you to prevent wheel lockup. What is the best defense for dealing with all types of driving conditions? The 3-second rule means that when the car in front of you passes an object, you pass the same object 3 seconds later. 1. Watch for the vehicle ahead to pass a fixed object, such as a signpost, billboard, or underpass. 2. As the vehicle's rear bumper passes the object, start counting 1001, 1002, 1003. And 3. Your vehicle should not pass the fixed object until after you have finished counting. If it does, you are following too closely. Let's see the 3-second rule in action.
Start counting. 1001, 1002, 1003.
In adverse conditions, heavy traffic, bad weather, or poor visibility, use the 3-second plus rule. This means adding 1 or more extra seconds of following distance for each